podcast. I'm Brandon, and today we're trying something different. We're going to just talk about some issues that are on our minds right now. So I'm here with
the label agnostic Biggie.
Auston. I'm sure you've heard him on the podcast before.
The label racist Nation of Islam, Khalif Muhammad.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're kind of trying something about labeling today, and we just kind of wanted to see where that goes. So here we go.
Gives us credibility.
See, black man. You're
Okay.
Well, see, it ain't that much books around our, problems or situations.
That's what I'm saying. But my thing is, who is supposed to write it other than us? You know what I'm saying? So why aren't we writing books? But then again, like, when did it start? Us not writing books? Or...
Well, okay.
It's like
I don't know. I think there's lack of opportunity. So, like, in politics, there's, like, this idea of, like, generally Democrats think of the idea of, like, lack of opportunities as the problems that cause issues in our society, and Republicans think of it as just like a lack of ability. So it's like innate ability versus opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, like... Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so my thing is, older parents will tell you, read a book, right? Mm-hmm. Have anybody ever told you to read a book?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but why don't you read a book? Why wouldn't you read a book?
Because some of the books that we getting doesn't catch my interest.
Yeah, so why don't they catch your interest? Like, what is not catching your interest?
Maybe I don't relate to it, maybe.
Exactly, but who is supposed to relate it to you other than someone your own age?
Exactly.
So, and that's like it's like a paradox. Mm-hmm. We don't read because we have nobody writing books. We can't write a book because we don't read. Mm-hmm. You see that? It's a circle. It's a cycle.
See, and you didn't put that in the audio. See, look, we're already talking about it, and it's not on the audio.
No, go ahead. Say it. So, all right, real quick.
The topic.
Yeah.
We need a third mic.
Yeah, it's cool.
What's the topic?
So the topic is why it's the idea of narratives, right? Whose story gets told, and then how does that affect how people, who is actually reading the books, and like.
Okay, yeah. And like my grandma just said, she was like, the history is told by the winners, basically. So if you're not winning, it's hard to tell your own history, and you can't win until you are telling your history.
Right. Okay.
So black youth are basically at a lose-lose type situation. You see?
True.
So we can't write our narrative because we're on the losing side, and we're on the losing side because we don't write our own narrative.
Yeah. And like the only time that we seen that type of thing was when those books, I forgot what those books called, those something series where they've all like the blood's thicker than water book, and I forgot. I don't know what it's like.
The series.
It was some series.
Describe it a little bit more.
It's a book series, and it was like short books, and one of the titles was called "Blood Thicker Than Water."
Yeah.
And et cetera. And can someone look at it? Hold on.
What are they like? What is it generally about?
I don't know. I ain't read it yet.
But exactly. Yeah, you ain't read it. But okay, so that's the point. That's where we're stuck. I feel like black people are stuck in that cycle of we can't get youth to read, and youth is our savior, basically. The younger generation is what's going to bring us out of poverty, out of being uneducated.
So
right?
I'm going to play the devil's advocate really quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to say what people who are not on this side would say. They would say that, well, that shouldn't matter, that if you want to be smart, you're just going to read on your own, and that if you don't choose to do that, then that's your fault. That's not anybody else's fault. What would you say? What would you say to that?
I say that perfectly true. Like, it's your fault. Ignorance is not bliss.
Okay.
Ignorance is dumb. It's not. So it's like saying, it's a really scary thing. It's to say, I like analogies or whatever, but you got to make it a really hard-hitting analogy. So I'll say, would you rather not know you have cancer or would you like to know and try to solve the problem? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Cancer doesn't have a cure to it.
Yeah, a lot of people like to deny some things that they know is fact. Like something like, oh, like my favorite show, The Get Down.
Yeah.
Got canceled before it even hit second season, and I'm like, no, it can't be true. It's a joke. It's a whole lie. Fake news, and like, nah, whatever.
So,
all right, I'm going to pose a question really quick. How do you all think the idea of, so what you were saying that like we like to lie to ourselves, like personally and as a culture, that we lie to ourselves, and so, you know, there's this idea that it's not even perpetuated by black people explicitly, like not just, but the idea that black people like to blame their problems on white people and don't like to like look at their own culture, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that idea. Ooh. And then there's the idea that that argument itself is a blinder. It's like putting your blinders on and not acknowledging the fact that culture has been affected by, like, the racist ideas have affected the actual development of like people in real life. Like, I'm not even talking about just the culture. I'm talking about the actual development of people's lives,
yeah,
and how that affects people. It's like you're choosing to just ignore. So like racism didn't happen, slavery didn't happen. Like racism isn't happening because of a long pattern of things, you know?
So for me, it's the tone in which you say things. So if I'm saying something to my sister, if I tell her, my sister's name is Layla. If I say, Layla, go pick up the toys, right? Mm-hmm. She's not going to listen to me because we instinctually want to do something to, like, authority is not, like, hard authority. It doesn't hit home until they have credibility behind it, right? So if I said, Layla, go pick up the toys, with authority in my voice still, but, you know, like,
finding a
sympathizing with her,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
So if somebody is sympathizing with you and they say, yo, you got a problem, I'm trying to help you solve it. I know the answers to your problem, right? Okay. And I just want to put you on game, right? I want to put you on game about your problem, okay, in a sympathizing way. Okay. You can take that better than just somebody screaming at you, just rocking it in your head all the time.
Right.
But it comes to a point where when is it like you need to be woke up? You need that, you feel me? That strength in the voice. Okay. Yeah. That declarative statement.
Okay. Yeah.
Why don't we like using declarative statements? Like, you have a problem. You see what I'm saying? We don't like that because it hits so hard. Like, you see what I'm saying? You wouldn't tell somebody with cancer, you have cancer. Like, right. You see what I'm saying? You say, I'm sorry, man, you have cancer.
Right.
But the thing about that is you wanna be able to inform someone without confusing them.
So how does this apply to what you're talking about with narratives and reading?
Okay, so the narrative with black people that we're ignorant because we choose to be, like you said, it's a blinder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're not ignorant because we choose to be. We're ignorant because the authority that tells us we're ignorant is telling us in a way that, like you said, it blinds us through the tone of voice, through how they say it, how hard they push at it. And in a way, some people know that if you push that hard, you're gonna do the opposite thing. If somebody tells you to if I tell you to read a book, if I say read a book, you're gonna be like, who is this man? What credibility does he have? Until you build up that credibility to be able to say those things. Right. Like, I can't just, because you think I'm bullshitting if I just say something off the top of my head, which really is, unless you have understanding behind it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you can hear understanding.
And another thing is that, in the way, you need a companionship. Get to know the person before you try to be all of that and try to force it in them. They like, socialize, That's what happened for me, like in, let's say, college. Our teacher, Mr. Auston.
Yeah.
At first, I was scared, shy and all that, and I wasn't sure that, I didn't want to do the work, just be done with college.
Yeah.
Until, he conversated with us about things, life, pretty much everything, to the point of like, you know what, I can do this. And he asked us, let's do the work, all that. And I'm like, right on it. Got it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
I miss you, man.
So what is your recommendation for
Solution,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Do you have any solutions?
Don't blame your problems on others. We hear that so much, but
Yeah.
just don't blame your problems on anybody else. Don't be scared to listen to your problem, to hear somebody else tell you your problem, and don't just believe it right off the bat. Do your research. Find out if that is the problem you have.
Right.
Find out, you see what I'm saying? Do black people really not want to read? Is that actually the problem?
That's not actually the problem. I would say that's not the problem. Yeah.
You want to get his? What's your solution to
Another
that?
thing is that we need more uniting as a group, because all of us, even in high school years, I remember everybody being completely separate. In the lunchroom, there'd be the Hispanics, and then the ratchet girls, and then it's the jocks, and then there's the misfits. That's me and a couple of dudes who are just completely random and have no spot to be at, and just be as one. And one day, when we're gonna be together? That's where that's where that needs to help. It would definitely help out, for others, and not just me, but just everybody. And also, I remember this group named "Do It for the Hood." That was supposed to be helping out.
Hip hop group or what?
No, it wasn't a hip hop group. It was a little program or something like that.
Okay.
Man, little programs work.
Yeah, they did they did an assembly for us. We're gonna be visiting more often. We're gonna help y'all out. And then next thing you know, they didn't even visit once, not once. And I'm like, broken promises, like always in Carver. Yeah, I'm in Carver. Man.
So what do you guys? I don't know. I like what you guys are saying. I think it's interesting. These two concepts you're saying, basically. I think this is what I'm getting is this idea of empathy is more important than being right. And so I don't know, I've found in our society that what we choose to do is we don't like to look at anything directly. We want to go indirect. We want to avoid problems because it's hard to deal with it. It's it's a psychological burden to deal with a problem that's but you know what? It's actually more of a burden to not deal with that problem because it's in the back of your mind. Mm-hmm. If you think about issues cliques in high school, same concept with race in America, I think. I think that the reason that people click up and that they choose to not even try to bridge to someone else's is because there's this idea of stereotype threat. It's Claude Steele talks a lot about it. He's a social psychologist, and really the idea is that it actually has an effect on you if a white person wanted to sit next to a black person, they're actually afraid that they would say the wrong thing and be viewed as a racist. It's the fear of being viewed a certain way, and I think that simple fact, it's been proven that it actually has a legitimate negative effect, and it's you would do anything to avoid it.
Yeah.
Just with cliques, and so I think that if we can try and get over this idea, if we can try and essentially understand that it's not about labels, and I know that in our society right now we're doing a lot of labeling people, and I think it's important to call out people who are doing things that are wrong.
Exactly.
But I think we also need to give people space to be able to talk about issues without being labeled, a racist or a sexist. Because I consider myself kind of a feminist, but really what that means for a guy to be a feminist is for you to be you're really is what it is. You're a sexist, but you acknowledge that you're a sexist.
No, they really do that.
Yeah. That's what I'd say.
My thing is, why did we have to label feminists? Why did that have to be a thing in the first place? Why did we have to label racism? You see what I'm saying? I mean, you label it to acknowledge that it's there, but why do we label things, but why do we put those labels on ourselves? You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
because you want to.
Explain what you mean. Sorry.
Like you were saying, weirdo. You say you're weird at school, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So why call yourself a weirdo and then you become that? You feel me?
Oh my
like
God.
you playing that part. It's like method acting. You know what method acting is?
Yeah, man.
So and Heath Ledger, bro, that was my like. I really love that.
Probably the best.
Exactly, The Dark Knight, yeah. And then he had this another movie where he was singing to this girl. I don't know what that movie's called, but I just watched that scene where he comes out. He's really younger. He comes out and he's singing to the girl. Anyway, that's off topic. But but I'm saying he method acted to play that part. He method acted being crazy until he became that. You see what I'm saying? And then that drove him to insanity. And I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of kids are doing. We don't know who to look up to, so we're looking up to anybody. We're putting labels on ourselves as anybody. Yeah, thank you. As being anybody, and you got to know who your role models are, right? So once you know who you are, you got it. I think that's my solution.
All right. Yes.
Know yourself, like Drake said.
Anything else to say?
I got you. That'd be killing me. And like we act like, oh, we doing this for the males, forget the females. You know, that'd be killing me.
Okay. Yeah. On that point, I do think that males are getting a bad light. I just want to put that out there.
Facts.
I love women. You know, I really love women. I don't want to be labeled as
Love the cooch.
That's it.
Oh my God. That's weird. All right.
Be sexist.
Like seriously, dude.
You sound like you're trying to say we're not sexist. Then
And
you
then it's
say,
like,
I'm kind of sexist, but okay.
Fuck. All right. Fuck. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Well, I might cut that out.
So what was sexist about that?
I'm not gonna get into that.
Oh my God.
So
We need a woman too. We should have
honestly, no.
feminist perspective.
No, I really. Yeah, I think that would be good.
But you
Not-
come from that feminist perspective.
I mean,
Why
yeah,
can't you come from that?
I do generally, but like
Just to have credibility.
yeah, that's what because it's like that idea of like, okay, so like I said, I consider myself a feminist, but like really, I'm like just a sexist who's like acknowledging that they do sexist shit all the time.
Exactly, that's what
really all it is. Because like no, but really though, because like I come from like a place where like I'm the default. Like whenever anybody is telling a story about something, it's a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually not a black guy, but it's a guy. You know, so it's like I'm already up there.
I think we need to get somebody strong woman.
Hey, we need to get that girl from
Strong
the
black
front.
woman.
Chill with that, man.
What's wrong? She was
No,
pretty
I
good.
know, but I don't think that she would actually like.
know those
Anyways, all right. So this has been Not Enough Podcast. We're just doing like a test thing where we just kind of talk about these issues that we've been thinking about. I'm Brandon.
I'm Auston.
I'm Khalif.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.